As we loop through the array elements and echo out the value from each one, we'll often need to include some HTML along with it. Mingling PHP code and HTML tags together can be a little tricky, especially when we're using conditionals and loops that have code nested inside of them. Let's take a look at 2 examples and then add some HTML tags to our list of ice cream flavors. This file contains PHP code that creates a variable and HTML code that displays a sentence. The code inside the PHP tags is treated as PHP code that gets processed by the server. The code outside the PHP tags is treated as HTML that gets sent directly down to the browser. Let's say I want to replace the static piece of text in the HTML here with the value from the PHP variable. I can replace this piece of text with an opening and closing PHP tag. Inside that set of tags, I can write PHP code that will get executed by the server. The server will send down the opening h1 tag and the phrase "my name is" directly to the browser. It will then execute the code inside the PHP tags to generate the text "Mike the Frog" and then send that down to the browser. It will then send the period and the closing h1 tag directly to the browser. Those last few characters are not within a set of PHP tags, so the server doesn't look for PHP code there. Let's next look at a conditional. If the flavor variable has a value of cookie dough, then I want to echo out this message. Let's say I want to add HTML around the message, maybe an opening and closing paragraph tag. We could add a closing PHP tag here after the curly bracket. The rest of the code in the file is PHP code still that we want executed, so we can add another starting PHP tag here. Our code still works more or less the same way, but we've broken it into 2 blocks of PHP code. We can do the same thing at the end of the echo statement. We could put a closing PHP tag after it, like this. We would need a third opening PHP tag to contain the closing bracket. It might seem a little strange to have the conditional spanning multiple PHP code blocks, but this allows us to mingle HTML in between the PHP tags. We can now add an opening paragraph tag here. We can also add a closing paragraph tag, like this. You'll often see this restructured so that the closing PHP tag is on the same line as the opening PHP tag. With this if statement, I would probably break it into 4 blocks of PHP code. It's pretty common to see one large block of PHP code at the top, followed by individual lines for PHP code below that's mingled with our HTML. Let's now head back over to our list of ice cream flavors. To put this in the context of HTML, we'd want to replace the pre-tags with real HTML tags. We'd want this opening sentence as a paragraph. To add the closing paragraph tag here at the end, we'd first need to close off the PHP tag. Down below here, we have more PHP code that needs to be executed, so we'll need to open another PHP tag. We could do the same thing at the end of this line, ending the PHP tag. Let's do it again here, ending the PHP tag for the echo command. And we'll have to again open a PHP tag for the closing curly bracket. Let's put the closing PHP tag on the same line as the closing curly bracket and indent everything to make the hierarchy a little clearer. We can now add div tags around the name of each flavor. We have the opening sentence in a paragraph tag and each individual flavor after it in its own div tag. With the div tags in place, we no longer need this hard return after the flavor. Let's take a look in the browser. The page now looks like this. We can view source on the page and we'll see each item displayed here in its own div tag. I think we're ready now to start looking at the shirts for Mike site again, using an array to hold all the information about our shirts and a for each loop to list them all.